Two. Hey folks, welcome to this. This is what, episode 3, I think?
Yeah.
This is going to be a multi-part episode. We're going to show you how to make tombstones. So without further ado, I'm Sean Kent.
I'm Max Kent. And Epic Kent.
And we're the Creepy Kids! And today we're going to show you what you need to do to get the basic shape of a gravestone just like this. So we've cut this out already.
Yeah.
This video is going to show you how we did it, how we got from an idea in our head to this here, which is pretty cool. That's right.
Paper.
That's right. So if you like this is just the carve. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll talk about...
Nothing.
Yeah, we did all that. Next episode, we're... Oh, okay. Did your fingers taste like cookies?
No.
So what we're going to do is for the next episode, we're going to show you how to do the lettering, right? We've got a cool trick for that, and to get the basic outline and shapes, and then we'll do distressing, and then for the final episode, we'll paint it, and we'll do all the special effects, all the distressing and stuff.
Three episodes.
That's right.
For this
That's right.
Thing.
One thing for one gravestone, 3 episodes.
That's crazy.
It's a big job.
Whee! That's a
It is going to be fun, Annabelle! Right on! Hey, what dangerous tool are you playing with? We'll show you how to do the great carving in this episode. I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to it.
Me too!
Yes, you too, you too. Let's get to it. We're going to move into the kitchen and show you how to map this out. Hey, buddy? Perfect. So we're in our dining room, which is a little bit unusual for this sort of a job. Normally we're in the shed, right?
Yeah.
Where we don't bother Mummy and all the other people in the house. But this particular project takes a lot of planning. So we've got a whole bunch of different things to do that with. We've got all these measuring implements. Annabelle's on the calculator here. You're going to do some math for us, Annabelle? She's going to push those buttons. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with an idea. So what happened yesterday is Max and I went on the internet and looked at some gravestone shapes and different ideas. And one of the things we came up with was this. So this is my sketchbook. You can see that we've got the basic outline of the shape, and then I sort of roughed in some of the words and stuff for what we were going to do. We decided we were going to do a Jeremiah. Jeremiah was a bullfrog with a frog skeleton. What I did then is I took that pencil drawing and I brought it into Photoshop. And when I brought that into Photoshop, I then sketched it out and created the whole piece, which looks like this. Which is all good, right, buddy? So that's sort of our starting point. So that's what we're going to make. We went down to the hardware store, we bought the big piece of styrofoam and some of the other tools that we needed, and now we've got to find a way to map from our drawing to our Photoshop picture to the piece of foam. So I'll move my sketchbook over here. There we go. And we're going to look at the foam here. And the easiest way that I find to do this is to design your gravestone in the computer. If you're using Photoshop or MS Paint, that works too.
We got this over here.
Yep.
And we got this over here.
So what we try and do is we try and take that Photoshop drawing and we make it exactly the right shape, as Max has here, for an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper.
And that's 2.
Yes. And this 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper obviously is too small, but then what we're going to do is we're going to basically double the size of it. So if you laid that out onto your piece of foam core, you would take 4 pieces of white paper, and that gives you an idea how big it's going to be. And that's not too bad, right? So we're going to be about twice the size of this. So if you know that, you go ahead and in your computer, you create yourself a nice little grid version of it. Just like that. Now you'll see the letters are backwards. That'll make more sense when we get to the stenciling. But we've got this nice grid pattern. Can you count that for me, Bella?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Perfect. So that tells us that our gravestone is going to be about 14 inches across the bottom, which isn't too bad. I've got a nice long level here. So that's going to have a gravestone that's about that wide at the base, which isn't too bad. That's kind of the look that we're going for anyways. Because we need to start mapping it out onto our piece of foam core. So for that, we have lots of different tools. We have your handy dandy measuring tape, my overkill measuring tape. You like that, anybody? You know, hold on to that? Perfect. And we also have my level, which has the big numbers on it. So without further ado, let's get measuring. Okay, ready, buddy?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, sort of where it's.
Right here, I got the pencil.
You be so careful. Quarters. Good job. Good. Right here. Perfect. That's great. Here, make it stand out a bit. Go like this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good job. 5/16 is a fixed number. Double it 10, 30 seconds. So you want to show?
No, it can't be in the video.
Can you stop the? Boy, that was some boring measuring. Yeah. I'm pretty sure your nostrils are clinging for all the nose picking you had a chance, eh? Yeah. So anyways, we come up across one of the problems in these designs. So we made a design with lots of swooping curves. So what I did is I mapped out the first point, the bottom point of the tombstone, and the top point of the tombstone curve right here. So how am I going to get some swooping curve? Well, I'm not going to measure it out in little pieces. Instead, I'm going to use this wicked tool that you can get at the art store that Annabelle has. Can you show it to everybody, Annabelle? What's that called? Me neither. I don't know what it's called either, but it sure is handy. So if you let me borrow that, Annabelle, I can use this, and what I'll do is I'll line it up with the points on my tombstone so that it sort of matches the same curve that we had in the original design. And then using my handy dandy marker, we'll just come in here and we'll go from point A to point B. Too easy, check that out. So we'll do the same on the other side, and you just sort of gotta eyeball it, but it works really, really good for mapping out the curves. We're back. One of the things that we have to do at the top of this is we have to create a circle shape. So we went around and we looked for circle things. What did you find, Annabelle?
This.
Yeah, and that makes a great hat, but unfortunately it's just a little too big, right? So, yeah, there we go. Okay, so she's going to wear that instead. And what we're going to do is we're going to use some of Mummy's nice dinnerware.
Yeah.
Right? It's exactly the right shape. I mean, you could probably measure the point and draw a perfect circle, but I mean, if you've got perfectly good china laying around, you can destroy it by putting marker on it, or if you're me, you'll use a pencil so that Mummy doesn't get too angry at us, right? So you line that up roughly where you need it to be. In this case, I'm going to bring it down a little bit. If we can fudge a little bit, that's okay. We just want to get the basic design right.
Look at my super hat.
Okay, so that wraps it up pretty much for the measuring of the shape and the style of the gravestone. I'm going to turn it upright without hitting the lamp here. I think you can see that it's a pretty decent transfer of our design. It's pretty much exactly double the size. And you're an astronaut. So we've got it measured out. It's a pretty good match. What do you think, Max?
It's good.
It's good. So we're pretty much ready to go. Okay, so Max and I are back in the shed. Annabelle decided to go to space with her astronaut helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just going to be us now.
Yeah.
We've got them mapped out here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use a jigsaw or Yeah, exactly. Safety gear. We're gonna have to wear the glasses. We're gonna have to wear a respirator probably, or at least keep the door open. And we're gonna cut out the basic shape. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do next. Ready, buddy? Get your glasses on. Do, 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 do.
Let's do this.
Look at that. How awesome does he look? And I will go get the jigsaw. Let's get started. Okay, so before we get started, you'll notice that Max is wearing all of his safety gear. Safety is paramount. He's got his respirator, eye goggles on, ear defenders. That's all the sort of stuff that you need for your kids when you're doing this sort of thing. Make sure that they're safe and sound. Right, buddy? High five? Excellent. How do you feel?
Kind of weird.
Kind of weird, yeah. Now, I don't have an extra respirator, but I do have my safety glasses. I'll put those on in a sec. But another cool trick that you can learn here is how to make a respirator out of a t-shirt. I picked a black one because then I get to look like a ninja. So just take it over your head. Here we go. Take the sleeves, tie them behind your head like this.
You look ridiculous, you do know.
You look even, yeah, I look ridiculous?
Yeah.
Hello, pot, this is Kettle. There we go, and hopefully that'll keep some of the...
I'm Darth Vader.
Yeah, well, the foam isn't good to breathe, so it's important to put something over at least. And we wear the eye goggles when we do this sort of thing. Now, the other thing when you're doing this kind of a cut, there's different types of blades you can get for a jigsaw. I find that the metal blades work far better than the wood blades that you can get for jigsaws for this sort of a cut. So we'll just get to it. We'll start our cutting and go from there. Sound good, buddy?
Yep. You look ridiculous.
There we go. Okay, so it's kind of handy to keep some of this scrap. We might use that to create a nice base for our tombstone in a few minutes. So don't throw that away. We can use that later. I'm just cutting it down, making it smaller, a little easier to work with, paying close attention to the edges of my workbench so that I don't accidentally cut myself or, Lord forbid, someone else. Ready, buddy?
Yep. Let's do this.
Let's do this indeed.
Are we done?
Pretty much.
I'm not.
Okay, so we're pretty much done, eh, buddy? What do we got there? We got a nice cut-out gravestone in the shape that we wanted. Is it awesome?
Yes.
Yes, it is. There we go. So now we're going to do some cleanup work that we need to do. So, for instance, up here in the corners and stuff, we might have some more work that we want to do. There's lots of different options. I like using a bread knife. If you've got a bread knife sitting around at home, you can also use razor blades. You can use files. And a personal favorite of mine is this. It's like a cheese grater for drywall, a drywall rasp, I think it's called. Do you remember what it's called? I don't remember what it's called. But anyways, it's great for just taking a large amount of the excess off with it. If you're sculpting in foam, that's great to work with as well. So we'll get to it and we'll start cleaning this up a little bit. How's that sound, buddy?
Yep.
Okay. We're just... So once you've got your basic gravestone shape cut out, you might see some overcuts or some other issues like that. One of the solutions to fill some of those gaps or holes that you didn't mean to make, like on the back end we've got some deep cuts because of the way the jigsaw cut, is to use some wood fill, eh buddy?
Yeah, and don't be upset if it looks like ice cream. It's supposed to.
Yeah, that's right. It looks just like ice cream. Butterscotch Ripple, I think. So I go ahead and put the wood fill on the spots that need it and just pack that in, and you can start to sculpt and shape with it as well.
Yay!
Once that dries, that'll dry up nice and hard, and once we get the paint on it, nobody will ever know the better. Okay, so for the next step, we're going to work on the base. We were fortunate that we found a 2-inch styrofoam that has sort of like this recessed bevel already, so we don't even have to do it on two sides. What we're going to do is we're going to use the base of this, right buddy, to mark that off. Okay, you ready? We're going to get you to put the 2 black dots over on that side. We'll line it up.
Where do you want me to do it?
Just right where they, right there. So, I've cut out this nice little base, again using that overlap from the 2x2. I used the jigsaw, I used the bread knife, and you can see it sits really nicely inside here like that. There we go, push it down. And that just adds a little bit more character to our gravestone design. So we'll let this dry overnight. I'm not going to glue this in yet until we're ready to go. We're going to have to stencil out the front and get the old Dremel tool out and carve out our shapes, right? And then it'll be ready to go, but you get the idea. Not too bad. Not so bad so far, eh buddy? Right on. So we'll catch up with you tomorrow once all of the wood fill has dried a bit and we're ready to go.
I think it's already pretty much dried.
It's pretty much already dried, you think?
Yeah.
Well, maybe in an hour or two.
Okay.
Okay. High five.
I will.
Cool.